All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to not burn out as a founder running ads, especially running ads in-house or even also if you use an agency. This is something that I talk a lot about with the founders that I'm mentoring, right? So actually, this just came up. That's why I wanted to do this video for all of the founders out there that maybe feel like this, right? And want to feel more like this, right? If you don't know, in case you don't know, it's like a insider. Essentially, this is Chat on the right side, which is the guy who, it seems like he's not really doing anything, but it's just working, right? He just seems like a lucky guy. But I'm going to break down in this video what you should be looking at when you're a founder of an e-commerce, brand, and basically how you should evolve as a founder so that you enable growth. Okay. So let's jump right in with the old way. Okay, this is the way that you're most likely familiar with, or a lot of brands or a lot of founders are familiar with that. So basically, this is you here. And in many cases, founders are really just overwhelmed, stressed, and yeah, just completely stressed out, honestly, drained with energy, right? Because what you want to do, or what you have to do essentially, what you think you have to do is you have to do customer support, right? I see a lot of founders like answering emails all day, replying to comments, right? Because they think it's important and nobody else can really do it the way they can do it. Then obviously you need to make sure that you have the cash flow available, right? So you need to do that. You need to do forecasting. You need to do product development, product dev. Then you need to make sure that you have enough ads, right? Running. So basically everything that is around marketing. In some cases, I see founders building landing pages, okay? Reviewing creatives, doing all of the stuff. And and then ultimately, you still have a lot of other stuff to do, right? A lot of other things to do. You still have your life, right? You still have your social life. You still have maybe have a family. So this all has to fit into this one thing, and you're basically wearing 10 different hats. Okay, so what I've realized over time is that it's so important that, especially in these early stages where you think you have to do all of this stuff, and finally you end up doing, I don't know, like 50K per month, right? Or like barely 100K per month, which in e-commerce terms, like if you know, when it comes to like, all the costs that are involved, this is not a lot of money, okay? Especially if you have a business partner, then also it's really not a lot of money, okay? So that's why I always say your goal should be to get to 1 million a month, okay? To be really serious, right? But now you do all of this stuff and you barely get to 100K and you're stressed out. And what I've realized over the time is really, it really has to do, and this is maybe a little bit deep right now, but it has to do with your internal beliefs. Okay, so you essentially believe that success has to be hard, right? And solutions have to be complex, right? So that you're always involved and you're always like in the middle of it. You always have to make all of these decisions. And to you, or to people that are in this situation, there is no such thing as an easy way to succeed, right? Everything has to be really earned with blood, sweat, and tears. So you're coming from this mindset, and this is how you approach, getting your e-commerce up to 100K consistently, then 500K, and then 1 million a month, right? So it's like ingrained that you have to do everything by yourself, and you have to grind it out, right? And eventually you can hire somebody that is really expensive or really experienced, right? But even then you have to constantly check. So it's a very like eye focused, and I say that not to be rude, right? But this is just, those are my observations. And I also show you how you can get out of this, essentially, right? So you can see it's very like I have to do all of this, right? Everything goes through me, which to an extent is true, but to another one, it's also very like you can be held hostage by this way of thinking, right? And basically, at some point, you will be at a point where you're like, okay, I'm doing all of this stuff, but nothing is moving, and then you start to question, every single thing that you're doing, and that's what's really draining mentally. Okay, and one question that I like to ask is like, okay, if you're stressed out right now, barely making 100 grand a month with your e-commerce brand, how on earth are you going to get to 1 million a month? How is this even possible? So does this mean you will have 10 times the stress that you have right now, 10 times less time, right? Which right now maybe you don't have time to do anything anyways, right? So that should be 10 times then. And the result of this experiment is basically that it doesn't work, right? It's impossible. And this is actually a good thing, because this shows you that this approach will not get you there, right? And that's what I see a lot of times, is that founders, like when they're when they're trapped in this way of thinking, essentially they're sabotaging their own success, right? Because to some extent you're repelling, you know, making 500K a month or 1 million a month, because in your mind, like if you would extrapolate that, it would just mean like 10 times the problems, 10 times the stress. And obviously you don't want that, because it's pain, right? So you need to rewire your brain on how it looks like making 500K a month, making 1 million a month, right? And then you will be able to give yourself the permission to actually do that. Okay. So finally, it's not the hours you put in, right? It's really the strategy that you follow, the framework that you follow, and then how you create leverage in implementing this framework. Okay. And this is where I'm going to, or I want to share with you, because ultimately, the founders that I see scaling really, really well, they first of all don't overcomplicate stuff, right? There is no such thing as like a super complex funnel, right? So what they do, or what the idea is, what I help them do, is essentially thinking in terms of a very small, lean team, okay, that basically helps them to execute. Okay, they keep the strategy, they keep the oversight, but everything else is executed by the team, right? So when we're talking specifically about marketing, we're talking about the ads, obviously, right? We're talking about funnels potentially, right? Copywriting, all of that stuff, right? This is not what you necessarily have to be doing, right? Then maybe even before that, what I always recommend is, for example, what I also have for me is an executive assistant, right? And that's where people go like, ah, well, but this is like for bigger established, founders and brands and companies and stuff. Like, let me tell you, like an executive assistant, this changed my life, right? Because you can basically give this person all of the admin stuff. Okay, you can even use this person in the beginning to help you with customer support until you hire some customer support people, right? So it's all about, this person is most likely the key hire that just helps you to have like a, to have headspace, to be able to breathe, to be able to think while stuff is still being done and going on. Okay, and what I always recommend there is, for example, I also have one. She's called Jenny. Maybe if you at some point clicked on the link in the description, you will actually have a call with her. She's amazing, right? And working with me full time. And she is, like I always say, she's one of the most important people in my organization, right? Because she helps me to be able to think, to strategize, while I'm not missing important deadlines and stuff is getting done. Okay, so very important, executive assistant. I see too many founders do like stupid admin stuff. Not to say it's a stupid work, but like you should not be doing it, right? This is what keeps you, like drains your energy, and then you don't have any energy left to focus on more important things of the business when it comes to scaling the business. Okay. Exactly. So those are the main two things, right? Think in terms of small, lean team. It doesn't have to be a huge team. It doesn't even have to be like a super trained team. It just has to be people that already have some background knowledge, best case, and that are very adaptable, right? So you can basically give them strategies and tell them to execute these strategies, right? So I'm not saying this is the kind of team that will get you to, I don't know, do multiple millions a month. No. But this is the kind of team that brings you to 100K, very efficient, to 500K, potentially even to 1 million, and then you can build out this team even more. Okay? What's the difference with this founder? You believe that if you follow a proven principle based framework, and this is very important, that success comes as a result. It's not easy, but it's simple, right? It's not complex. So you realize that you cannot do it alone, just like none of the founders of any brand that you're looking up to and that you're admiring has done it alone. Nobody's done it alone, right? And this is also something that I came to realize talking to a lot more people where you're like, wow, okay, they're making so much money and revenue and the business is so big. It's like it's never just one person, right? But the important part is to protect what only you can do and protect your time for that, right? So essentially, you have to value your time and give yourself a high hourly rate, right? So for me, for example, I set my hourly rate at 1,000 euros per hour, right? And that's it, right? If there's something to do that is below this 1,000 euro per hour rate, then I give it to somebody else, right? Especially if it's something that is recurring, right? That I have to do over and over and over again, right? Then I rather invest my time into writing out an SOP, a framework, a step-by-step framework, so that a person can do it at, as good as I did it, or maybe even better, right? And I don't have to worry about the implementation, the execution. Okay. Yeah, exactly. As I said, all tasks below that rate you should be outsourcing, right? And this sounds counterintuitive because maybe you're tight on cash, and it's not so easy to basically invest in this. But trust me, like the alternative is that you do everything by yourself, and you don't have any time to find this next idea when it comes to ads, for example, right? To push the team in the right way to find the right ads, right? You don't have the energy to do that, and that's where this downward spiral begins, or where some people, some brands, they're just stagnant, right? They just stay at the same level over and over again. Every single month is the same, right? While you're still working over hours. Okay. Then, yeah, as I said, SOPs really important. And even if it's like 70% done, it's 100% amazing. I got this from Dan Martell. He has an amazing book, which is called Buy Back Your Time. Absolute incredible book. This really helped me with my executive assistant and made me clear how much I need one, even though I was convinced that I can do this stuff alone. So yeah, exactly. That's essentially it. Oh, that's double. That's the same. We don't need that. So just to wrap things up, for you, like your goal is to get to 1 million a month or to 500K a month. What I'm telling you today is that you don't need to, like, you should not be trapped in this, right? You should not continue to believe that you have to force, you have to get there through force, right? That's not the right approach, because that's where I see founders, nearly burn out. Where when in reality they should have just like stopped doing all of the stuff and just looked at, okay, what is the stuff that I can push away from myself? That has to be your constant question. Like, what is the stuff that I'm doing that I absolutely should not be doing? What is a $1 million per month CEO of an e-commerce brand doing, and what am I doing right now? This is where you have to adjust, because that enables you to get there. And one thing that I really want to stress here is it's not only about the hours. Don't think only about the hours and how much you pay then these people that do the work. Besides the hours, it's the energy, right? So, for example, I had one case where a founder, she was like so trapped into the daily stuff, and then there was like an investment round coming up potentially, so preparing stuff for that. And her approach was to find like, okay, like 1 2 hour 3 hour slots to think about the next ad ideas. But this doesn't work, right? It's not only the hours, it's also the energy. So the approach should rather be, okay, if ads are such a priority and are pushing my helping me to spend double and double my business essentially next month or in the next couple of weeks, how can I spend mainly, or let's say 1 or 2 days a week, scripting out and shooting founder ads, right? If this is what brings me, like, what scales my business, then you have to design all the other stuff around it and basically say, okay, what is the stuff that I'm doing that is now holding me back from actually executing on this? Okay, and this is the way you push stuff off of your plate, right? Where you say, okay, yes, I could be answering all of the comments on IG, or yes, I could be answering emails, random emails, right? Or I could be, I don't know, like dealing with admin stuff, filling out spreadsheets, right? Or I could just show a person what I do and just do the ads that help me double my business in the next couple of weeks, right? Because all the other stuff won't, that won't double my business. Okay. So I hope this helped you to get a new fresh perspective, because oftentimes you have an amazing product, you already have stuff that is working. It's just that, right? It's just the this mindset and not knowing how to do it in a different way. And this is exactly what I help founders do, obviously, among many other things, mainly solving the profitable acquisition, right? So scaling aggressively through paid ads. But this is the main part of it, and that's what I wanted to do this video, so that you have at least like a guideline on, okay, what should I be doing differently, okay? And the solution really is to think in terms of a small team when it comes to your ads. Use freelancers, use overseas talent. There's a big one, right? That's what I recommend everybody. You would be amazed at how great people you can hire half time, full time, and I have many, many, many references of that, of brands where I showed them how to do it. And you wouldn't believe how cheap you can get these people. They are super happy, super motivated, and you get amazing results, and you don't have to be stressed out, right? And this is way, way less than you think is the cost of hiring such a team. Okay. So yeah, and then obviously executive assistant, just to give you headspace. So if you are an e-commerce founder and you feel like this, or let's say similarly, and you know that there are just a couple of things that need to be unlocked so that you're ready to scale and you're really ready to go on offense, so to say, with your brand, with your products, then click the first link in the description. This is exactly what I helped many founders now do successfully, ranging from founders that, started at, let's say, 10, 15K a month, and now are doing like 300-400K a month consistently with their e-commerce. Same thing with others that started at 50, 100K, and now are doing 1 million a month. So yeah, if you want to explore how this would look like and how I could basically help you mentor you along the way to your $1 million per month, e-commerce that where you do stuff in-house, right? You're not depending on any external agency, then check out the first link in the description, and we see if there's a match. All right. Hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments, and see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.